All right, let's talk about one of my favorite design patterns. Today, we're going to dive into the decorator pattern. And to do it, we're going to tell a story about a coffee shop that almost got crushed by its own success.
So, it all kicks off with something you hear every day, right? An order like this seems totally normal. But think about it from a coding perspective. How on earth do you handle every possible drink combination without your code base turning into an absolute disaster?
Okay, so let's meet Emma. She's the owner of Bean Dreams, and business is booming. Which sounds great, right? But here's the catch. With every customer asking for their own special drink, her ordering system was creaking under the pressure. It was a good problem that was quickly becoming a total nightmare.
So just how bad was this nightmare? Well, check this out. For just 10 little add-ons, milk, sugar, vanilla, whatever, Emma figured out she'd need over 1,000 different classes to cover every single combination. 1,024 to be exact. Can you even imagine that? It's just completely insane.
Okay, so let's dig into this. This is what we'll call the coffee shop nightmare. We're going to see just how a few simple options can lead to what's known as a class explosion.
All right, so what did Emma do first? Well, she did what a lot of us might do. She reached for inheritance. You have your base coffee class, right? And then you just extend it. Coffee with milk, coffee with sugar. Oh, you want both? Okay, coffee with milk and sugar. And you can see where this is going. It's that classic class explosion. It just doesn't scale. It's a mess.
But thankfully, there is a much better way to handle this. And that brings us to the solution. Let's call this section a pattern for layers. So this is where a friend of Emma's, Marcus, who's a senior architect, comes in and saves the day. He gives her this amazing analogy. He says, Emma, stop thinking about creating a whole new thing for every single drink. Instead, think of it like wrapping a gift. You start with the main gift, and you just add layers around it. And that simple idea, that gift wrapping analogy, that is the absolute core of the decorator pattern. And now that we get the problem she was facing, this, textbook definition suddenly makes a ton of sense. It's a pattern that lets you attach new behaviors to objects by putting them inside these special wrapper objects. Simple as that. Let's really visualize this. So, step 1, you start with your core thing, the basic coffee, okay? Step 2, you take that coffee object and you wrap it, literally in code, inside a milk object or a milk decorator. Then step 3, you take that whole thing, the coffee wrapped in milk, and you wrap that in another decorator, like whipped cream. Each layer just adds its own little piece of functionality, like its cost or its description. So what does this actually look like when you code it? Let's jump in and see. Time for section 3, building a better drink. Okay, this slide right here, this is the big aha moment. Seriously. On the left, you see the old way, that rigid, messy inheritance chain. But on the right, that's the magic. That's flexible composition. Instead of 1,000 classes, now Emma just needs a few simple reusable decorators. And the best part, she can mix and match them on the fly at runtime to create any drink imaginable. And just look at how clean that is. Seriously, look at that line of code. It's almost like reading English. It tells you exactly what the drink is. A new coffee, wrapped in a milk decorator, wrapped in a whipped cream decorator. It's beautiful. Emma can literally construct any drink a customer can think of, right there and then. But here's where it gets even cooler. Decorators aren't just for, adding toppings and changing a price. They can add whole new behaviors. Which brings us to our next section, more than just toppings. Now, here's a really important point, and it's one that people sometimes miss. The order you wrap your decorators in, it can really, really matter. It's not just a shopping list of features. The sequence itself can completely change the final outcome. Okay, let's make this super clear with an example. Imagine we have a size decorator and a discount decorator. In the first sequence, we apply the size first. Let's say we make the price 1.5 times bigger for a large, and then we apply a 10% discount to that new higher price. Got it? Okay, now in the second sequence, we do it the other way around. We take the base price, apply the 10% discount first, and then we apply the size multiplier. You're going to end up with 2 completely different final prices. This is huge. The order of operations is critical. All right, so this whole coffee shop thing is a great story, but this pattern is used everywhere. It's a fundamental tool. So let's go find some decorators in the wild. you've almost certainly used this pattern without even realizing it. Anybody who's worked with Java I/O streams, you're wrapping a file input stream with a buffered stream, then maybe a gzip stream. That's the decorator pattern. In web development, it's super common for middleware. You wrap a request with an authentication layer, then a logging layer, then a caching layer. UI components, data services. Honestly, once you see it, you start seeing it everywhere.
So let's fast forward. Emma gets so good at this stuff, she starts giving talks on software design. So for our final section, we're going to get the highlights from Emma's Decorator Masterclass. And this is the core of her message, right here. She says, I used to think adding features meant I had to make more and more classes. Now I know it's about composing behaviors when I need them. It's a huge mindset shift. It's moving away from rigid, static inheritance and embracing flexible, dynamic composition.
So how do you know when to reach for this pattern? Well, Emma has a simple checklist. First question to ask yourself is this. Do I need to add behavior to my objects dynamically, like at runtime? If the answer is yes, if you need that kind of flexibility, the decorator pattern should definitely be on your radar. And the second question, this one takes us right back to that coffee shop nightmare. Are you about to use inheritance in a way that's going to create a crazy, tangled mess of subclasses? If you see that happening, just stop. That is a massive red flag. It's a sign that you should probably be thinking about decorators instead. Now, it's not a silver bullet, right? No pattern is. If your set of features is totally fixed and never going to change, you probably don't need this. If you're in some super high-performance scenario where the overhead of creating lots of tiny objects is a real problem, maybe look elsewhere. And sometimes, a simpler pattern like the strategy pattern is all you really need. It's all about using the right tool for the job. So let's boil it all down. What are the big takeaways? First, compose your behaviors. Don't just inherit them. Second, remember that real flexibility comes from that composition, not from making a million different classes. And finally, and this is the big one, the right pattern can take something that feels impossibly complex and turn it into something truly elegant. And that leaves me with a final question for you. Think about the projects you're working on right now. Is there a feature explosion hiding somewhere in your code? Is there some nightmare of complexity that's just waiting for a more elegant design, just waiting for you to start thinking in layers?